So, bees. I know not everyone loves them, but I really love bees. And I'm always on a search for a board game that involves bees. I really like them. So as I was scrolling around the internet and I came across the idea of medieval bees trying to build a colony and fight over dominance over like a floral landscape, I was intrigued. Hi, I'm Rich and welcome to Pen and Board, where we talk about board games, tabletop roleplay games. And today I'm here to talk to you about Propolis, a game about medieval bees trying to build a colony and a hive to satisfy their queen. So come with me, let's have a look and dive in. In Propolis, or Propolis, I'm not quite too sure how to pronounce it, but I say Propolis. You take on the role of a colony of bees. On your turn, you're going to do one of 5 things. Firstly, you're probably going to send out some beeple workers. Yes, I said beeple, which is quite cute because the little meeples are little bees. So you will be sending your beeples out onto landscape cards on the table, onto slots, and collecting resources. You can also fortify those beeples that are out on landscape cards to gain more resources and increase your level of dominance in that area, which will make sense in a bit. You then can use those resources to build hive structures back at your colony, which either give you endgame victory points for set collection or resource collection, or just straight up victory points, or they will give you permanent resources, which can then be used to build your Queen's Palace. Now, you can only use those permanent resources from your built hive structures to build those Queen's Palace. So it adds kind of like a third step into the endgame kind of like building and structure system. Finally, you can retreat your bees, because once you place your bees out onto the floor landscape, they stay there and they don't come back until you call them back. Now, the end game is triggered when someone builds 10 structures, but you really want to try and build one of the Queen's Palaces, because they have a really important X in the top left corner of the card, which means for all the other cards that have victory points based on sets of other cards, the Queen's Palace counts as all of those sets and can be counted multiple times. So it's a real powerful like multiplier when it comes to victory points. Also, who doesn't want a palace for their queen? It's like you're playing bees. Treat your queen right. So the basic like gameplay flow: you send your beeples out, collect resources, build hive structures. Those hive structures then have permanent resources on, which you can eventually build your Queen's Palace. And then victory is yours, or once you've added up all your points and victory points and all that stuff, then victory might be yours. But it's quite a satisfying loop, to be honest. You know, there is a nice flow to it. Now, earlier I mentioned dominance. Now, bees like to fight for dominance over this floral landscape in this medieval world. And this is triggered when you place a beeple on the last empty card on a landscape row. Then every player goes round and counts up how many beeples they have, and fortified beeples count as 2, which is why it's really worth sometimes investing in fortifying, getting some extra resources, and counting those 2 in the dominance step. The person that triggered the dominance check gains a wild resource, so that's a resource that can be used for any other colour resource. And the person that wins has the most total dominance in that area, keeps all their beeples on the landscape, everyone else retreats their beeples, and the winning dominance gains a wild resource. Propolis, or Propolis, or Propolis, or whatever's the correct way to do it, is a beautiful game. Yeah, I said bees because, you know, bees, but it truly is a beautiful game, from the artwork, the color, the beeple components are really nice. The way they use the double-sided cards for both the landscape and hive structure cards is really nice. I like the symmetry that the starter cards, the ones you start out with that give you some initial resources, they're actually the opposite side to the palace hive structures, and I think that's a nice mirror symmetry from the start into the game. So it is a really beautiful game, but is it a game for you? Now, if you're there and you want to have a big tussle up between hornets and bees and fighting through medieval catapults, this is not what it's going to be. If you enjoy that kind of puzzly, strategic placement and management of both resources and workers, then this is probably going to be more your jam, or I mean, I should probably say more your honey rather than jam because of bees. Yeah, honey. I really like it. It's got quite a lot of strategic depth and it's got a lot of beauty in there. When I finished playing it, I wanted to play it more because I not only wanted to refine my strategy and see if I could build an even better kind of engine when it came to my resources, my opponent resources and everything else, but I wanted to see more of the cards. Like the palaces all have cool, they have all interesting names, they're all beautifully done, and I wanted to see more and more of that. So yeah, for me, this is a really nice, almost cozy game you can kind of like not switch off to, but because you only perform one action per turn, yes, it's a choice of 5, but possibly 4 because you're not going to be building your Queen's Palace until the end. So you don't really get stuck in that choice paralysis moment where you've got too much to do. And even if you think you've picked the wrong thing, it is still going to be useful. Like you'll always need resources, you'll always need more hive structures. They're always going to be a benefit to no matter what action you do. You never feel like you've lost an action, which I feel is a really strong contender for a good game, because you don't get that negative. You only ever get, oh, well, it's not the most optimum, but I've done good and I've made some progress, if not the best progress I could have made, because Joe Bloggs over there decided to build that hive structure that I wanted, and Mary Lee over there is occupying all the purple resources. If you're looking for a game that has loads of player interaction, then this is not for you. There's some indirect player interaction when it comes to the dominant step and placing what you're picking cards up and what resources you're occupying, but there's never really any take that moments or any I'm gonna directly impact your hive. So if that's what you want to do, then maybe pass on this. But if you want to have a nice sit back, build a beautiful hive colony, then yeah, I would check out Propolis if I were you. Well, that's it, my little review of Propolis. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like. If you have any comments, then please leave them down below. And if you want to see more board game reviews and maybe some tabletop roleplay conversations, then please subscribe. I've been Rich, this has been Pen and Board, and I'll see you next time.